So there's obviously the big bill that was passed under this administration is the one big beautiful bill. It kind of slashed taxes for the wealthiest Americans. We saw cuts to things like Medicaid, to SNAP, to research and other programs to kind of offset these costs. One, would you have supported something like this? Is this the way you see tax policy should work? And then two, if not, what sort of economic agenda or policies would you support if you made it into Congress?
What I really want people to know about me is that I'm a humanist. I believe in taking care of our fellow human beings. So, no, I did not support the big, beautiful bill. I want to get rid of tariffs. They didn't work. Mr. President, you tried it, it didn't work. Let's get rid of them. But also other economic policies, such as banning or not allowing private equity firms to buy up homes. You know, Brandon, I was totally shocked when I found out that the average first time homeowner age is 40 years old. Listen, I'm a Gen Xer, it's no secret, you know, and I was like, how? How did this happen when my generation had an opportunity to purchase an affordable home in our early 20s? Boomers a lot younger. So why are we not extending these opportunities to millennials, to Gen Z, and our younger generations to come? So I'm for, like I said, getting rid of tariffs, banning private equity firms from owning single family homes, for getting rid of data centers, or at least hitting a moratorium on it so that legislature can catch up. I am for providing universal health care, as a basic human need. You know, I'll also share with you a quick story. Last year, my husband and I, we took a trip to Eagle Pass. We didn't know that the border was only 2 hours away from the small town that we live in. And I was just surprised. We went into a nice, safe, quaint little town called Piedras Negras. And Brandon, I saw nothing but dental clinics. There was only like 100 of them. And when I started to talk to people there, the Mexican nationals, because I speak Spanish, and other Americans that I saw coming out of these clinics, I was like, hey, what's going on here? Because Mexico gets such a bad rap. And then I learned that actually Mexico is our healthcare provider for a lot of American citizens, not only dental, but medical and other things, you know. So I'm also for supporting small businesses. Why? Because these major corporations are robbing us blind. And small businesses are the backbone of the American economy.
So on healthcare, you mentioned obviously universal healthcare, which I think is a great thing. What do you think, or do you have like a specific avenue or policy that you support to get there? Because I think in the those who want to see universal healthcare, there's still like, some people, there's like Bernie Sanders who wants like Medicare for all. There's some people who are more so like we just need a public option that everyone can get on if they want. Do you have a certain way to get there, or for you is it more if the bill comes across and it'll give everyone health care, you'll sign it?
You know, Bernie Sanders likes to call it Medicare for all. I don't care what we call it, as long as all American citizens have health care. Because again, I'm a humanist and it's a human need. You know, I'm not going to wait for someone to write a bill and then I'm going to jump on it. I actually want to be the one to create the bill and pass it, and get everyone else on board. And I'll tell you why. As an independent candidate, I'm very lucky that even Republicans will take the time to listen to me. And I've already had conversations regarding universal health care with a lot of conservative people that are unhappy with the Trump administration. And I said to them, you know, please give me just a couple of seconds of your time so I can explain why, I am pro universal health care. And I go back to being a mental health professional, right? And being a humanist. I say, look, as human beings, we're meant to get sick. From the time we take our first breath to the time we take our last, we're meant to get sick. Therefore, it is a human need. We need access to doctors. After so many years, we're going to need access to surgeons, eye doctors, mental health, dentists, you know? And so when I approach it in that way, that we're just all human, you know, and if cars break down, so are we, you know, and so And that angle and approaching it with that angle, they listen to me so much so, Brandon, that as an independent candidate, I need to gather 500 signatures to be on the November ballot. And I've even had conservatives, Republicans sign my ballot so they can see me in November, you know. So I think it's just approaching it differently, talking to people from a different angle, because I've been pretty successful at talking to conservatives and Republican, and then they're on board with me. They take my card and they're like, you know what? I'm sick and tired. I'm fed up with the two-party system. I'm going to look for you come November.
What are your thoughts on big money, corporate money, dark money, whatever people want to call it, in politics, something like Citizens United? And then is it a priority of your campaign to not take super PAC money, corporate money, this kind of influence?
Yes, I think we need to get rid of Citizens United, but also we do need to take big money out of our politics. I don't see why they're there. I mean, we all know that because they influence politicians, and let's face it, let's be real, because there's a lot of corruption. You know, there's an infestation of corruption on both sides. And yes, I'm totally against taking corporate PAC money, APAC money, any other, international funds, and also Bitcoin. And did you know, Brandon, that actually there's a certain number of candidates that are taking Bitcoin? I didn't even know this existed until recently. Last month, as a matter of fact, someone sent an email to me asking me, would I be interested in taking Bitcoin? And I responded, absolutely not. So on my website, under the donation tab, I have it clearly marked, I don't take these funds. I don't take these monies.
All right, and the last question I have for you is obviously you are running as the independent candidate. So in the general, there will be a Democrat and Republican. Why do you think people like what makes you the right candidate that should be chosen over the two party system that people are used to? Kind of like for those who might not be as familiar with you, what is the pitch to voters?
I'm a humanist. If things are not going to benefit our fellow human beings, our fellow American citizens, that there's no way I'm going to support a certain bill, certain legislature, or even an amendment to our Constitution. If we the people are not going to benefit, and it's going to be groups like corporations and billionaires, then it's going to be a hard no-go for me. I'm not an established politician. I have never run for office. I'm a mental health professional by trade, but I couldn't stay silent on the sidelines and not jump into action to create positive change. So I'm a true independent, like I said, no history of ever being a political candidate on any side. And I strongly identify with the people that are sick and tired of the duopoly that Republicans and Democrats have. And so if you want a candidate that's truly going to represent you, that's me.
And before I let you go, also shout out what your campaign website is, your social medias, that kind of thing, so people can follow the campaign.
Thank you so much.
Mm.
So I'm on several platforms. Please just go check out my website, veronicagwilliams.com. And one more thing that I would like to add is, again, as an independent candidate, in the process of gathering 500 signatures. All those signatures have to come from people that reside in my district, District 23. And those voters or registered voters are people that can sign my petition, but with one small thing. They are voters that did not participate in the primaries. So if this is you, please reach out to me via my website so you can sign my petition and so that you can see my name on the November ballot.
Awesome. And best of luck going forward, getting the signatures, and hopefully we see you on the ballot. I think it was a great conversation, and maybe as the election goes forward, we could have you back on.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Thank you for
Awesome.
having me.
Yep. Enjoy your day, my friend.
You too.